I respect about the work that it's doing is that they're building community, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And
cue the music. We don't have big church hymn.
oh yeah, right. All right. So this is the Holyish Life.
Can I have your attention, please? So that's why I passed out.
Okay, so this is the video. It looks like she does some sort of like women's empowerment convention or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's watch this.
Lifesavers. So that's why I passed out Lifesavers. So if anybody got a Lifesaver, hold your Lifesaver. And I want you to do a little exercise with me because I want you to think about something in your life. And I want you to think about a time you were truly alone. I want you to think about a time that you had to do something to help yourself. It might have been a time where you were in a big financial struggle. Like maybe you had debt and it was creeping up on you, or you had a giant bill to pay and you had to deal with it. Or a time where a parent or a friend or a partner was supposed to show up for you and did not show up for you. And you needed them to do that thing, and they said they would, and they didn't. And you had to do it yourself. But this is the one I think about a lot with a lot of women, is that time you decided to leave. That job. Yeah, you can clap. You were brave enough to leave. That job that didn't serve you or was not in line with your integrity, that party that made you feel lonely around a bunch of people, or a marriage or a relationship that just did not work for you anymore. You decided in that moment to change your own life. And you realized that this is the really important thing. No one was coming to save you. That you were going to have to save yourself. There wasn't going to be a magical mentor. There wasn't going to be a millionaire relative who leaves you a bunch of money. There wasn't going to be a guy or a girl coming in on a white horse to save you. You realized you were going to have to deal with it on your own. And in that moment, you became your own lifesaver. A self-carrying floatable device that you can depend on, that you have inside yourself. And you saved yourself then, and guess what? You're gonna do it again. You're gonna do it again, and again, and again. And I think it's important, because who are the people who save themselves? Those people are the people who take days like today to fill their tank with great advice, incredible inspiration from like-minded people, and people who encourage you to be the best version of yourself. Because when you take time to invest in yourself, like you're doing today, you're putting deposits of resilience and grit in your self-worth bank account. And you will be able to spend them at a later date. So you're gonna learn life skills this weekend from real women who have weathered ups and downs, and they're gonna tell you, I want every speaker in this room to tell you about the downs, not just the ups, because we need to know that. And if you're extra brave, and I think some of you really are extra brave, you are going to make some new friends. You're gonna put your hand out and you're gonna say hi.
Okay, she's so cute.
She's cute. Yes, of course. She's super cute. And I respect the mission.
Yeah.
As I don't know her, but
Yeah.
her public persona.
Her
And
brand, for
her
sure.
brand for
Yeah.
sure. And so I was like, yeah, that's on point. The sticking point for me on that, and I just view it differently than her, is that, the messaging was, no one's going to be there, nothing's going to save you, you've got to do this alone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what a sad way to think about it. Like, that was sad for me because we don't live on an island. One, we have people around us, right? And we may not have a rich relative who's going to come bail us out financially, but we have what is inside of us, right?
Yeah.
And that is a lot of time. For me, it's a spiritual connection, right? So it's knowing that, like, I'm never really alone because God is always there,
Yeah.
right? Like, from the day I came into this world, God's been there, and He will be there until the day that I die. And I understand that not everybody believes in God. So, like, if you don't believe in something, like the God that I believe in, or, I don't know, maybe whatever spiritual deity you choose to put your faith in, then are you ever really alone? Right. So that was kind of what came to light for me in that conversation, right? It was kind of a sad premise, and for me, it missed the mark on that whole like empower yourself to go be independent and da 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 da.
Right.
Which are all things that I think we as women should be.
100%.
Don't get me wrong.
100%.
I'm all about girl power, right? Like supporting women, all of
Yeah.
that, through the good and the bad. But it was a little sad because, in my opinion, we're never on our own fully. So,
has there
That's
been like any time that you can think of that you have actually been alone, like through a struggle, through a downtime where you needed that, or through a, hey, I'm powered up and I got to go one step further?
I've had times where I intentionally isolated myself and chose to be alone because I felt overwhelmed by other people's opinions and thoughts, and I didn't want them. I wanted to put myself in a vacuum to be able to make my own decisions, but I still wasn't alone. I mean, what was I doing in that vacuum? I was praying.
Right.
I was seeking guidance from something bigger than myself. And so because of that, I don't think there's ever been a time in my life, and I'm thankful for it, that I've ever felt like totally alone.
It's all on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's how God intended us to live on this planet, was to feel like, hey, dropped you off, see you on the other end of all this, right? Like, I don't think it's a one and done relationship in that sense. I think it's, I'm here to support you through the entirety of your, physical existence on earth. And then after that, we've got other fun stuff planned, right? And so
after party,
exactly. And so, yeah, that's how it struck me. I mean, you sent it to me because obviously it struck a chord with you.
Yeah.
So now, tell me your thoughts.
So I love, first of all, I think that, like you said, everything that she promotes for women, all of the ways that she's been able to give them agency and license and a voice in media is like so impressive. And because of that, she's obviously built her brand and quite a bit of influence as almost like a savior of sorts, right? Like of women.
Yeah.
And so people listen to her, and I listen to her. And I will say, after taking a couple of days to like digest it, which got called by you, I was ready to like just hop on the mic and be like, what? That's that it is, I think it's kind of dangerous to put messages like that out to people who, in the circumstances she's talking about, and I've been in them, are in financial ruin, are having to decide if they're walking away from a marriage, are a female founder, trying to build something. When you're vulnerable and you are in that state, at least in my experience, and I know everybody's personalities are different, so this is just my hot take, but I think just people I've talked to that have been in each of those circumstances, like the kind of women that leave the kind of marriage I was in, female founders, um, whatever else it is, kind of do tend to be similar. So I think that, I hope this is a message that resonates if anyone is in a group that might be searching for something. But you're already feeling so alone. That, to me, just, I was like, no, I wish I could go back in time and tell myself that was not it. Yeah. And obviously I have a faith foundation in my life, but during that 10-year period of all of those things happening, I was not at all turning to God. I was on an island. It was, Sarah's going to save the world. And it was totally unrealistic. And I think really detrimental to everything I was working on, to my health, to my relationships. I am all about the encouragement. Like, there is definitely something to be said for being a cheerleader for people through those hard times. And I think there's also realities of that, if you're sitting there and you're deciding if you need to leave a marriage or a job, or you're a single mom struggling to pay bills, or you're trying to build a business, thinking about building a business, you might be facing reality. It is those bills. It is your kids that need your attention. And you don't feel like you have anything else in you to give. And it's kind of defeating, right? Like I would watch that almost and be like, I'm doing it wrong, or I'm never going to be able to do that because of A, B, C, D. And I think without the tools provided, which it sounds like maybe the other speakers were giving more of like the downs and the ups. Otherwise, I think you kind of feel like there's an unhealthy expectation almost when you just hear the like, you can do it all by yourself and walk away, because in reality, you need people. Like you said, we weren't made to be alone. Obviously, this is the holy-ish life, so I'm going to go a little Bible here in Romans 12, like I was just talking about the other day, different story context, but it's about how we're all pieces of the body and we all work together. It's not about, oh, the brain has a flotation device and decided to like bounce, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's like that dependence, and I think there's a level of vulnerability that is washed over when that message is the soundbite, is the key message. Washes over the things that you might need in the middle. Like you might need to depend on God. You might need some grace. You might need community. You might need rest. And so that's my sort of overall hot take. What I did agree with, and I was like, it's not that you have to save your own life. What I do think you have to do, and I've done this, is you have to make the decision to save your own life. And I struggled very, very long and hard with deciding to get divorced. And finally, I swear it was, things kept happening. I kept Googling at night in my bed, like, what am I going to do? I didn't have a place to go. I didn't go to God. I didn't go to my friends. I didn't want to tell anybody. I was my own flotation device at the time. And finally something happened and I was like, I've got to do it. I've got to do it. My ex-husband came home. I was folding laundry on the floor and he sat down and I heard this voice. I've never had any other experience like this, but every cell in my body was screaming at me, do it and just keep going. And I said it and I wanted to like immediately take it back because it was serious and it was scary. And I heard it again, just keep going. And that was not my lifesaver inside. That was God. Like I silly at me then ignored him for the next,
Of course,
years.
as we do.
But I knew it at the time. I thought about it frequently because it was so moving. But that was the decision I made. And then he gave me that push when I was going to unmake my decision. So I do think that is like very valid. Like, I don't think that you have to save yourself. I think you have to make the decision to make a change if you are seeing somewhere that you want your life to go and you're not heading that direction. And that is really hard. You did it before and you can do it again and again and again. That I would also argue with because I drew on that strength. Like I got through the period of like, I'm leaving, I have the kids, you're in an apartment, like all of those months of messiness and through the divorce and then, started a business and moved into a new house. I lost like 40 pounds immediately just from like, stress. Yeah. Like I was like looking good. I was feeling good. I was like, I can do anything. It felt like when I had my first kid, you're just like, whoa, I did that.
Yes.
Like, yes, go me. But there's the problem, right? I was like very much like, go Sarah, not like, wow, God, like, what do you have for me next? It was a lot of pride was speaking. And so when I had another incident that happened in the last year, when I was here and I'd moved, I'd gotten through this long custody battle, I had my kids here, and all of a sudden our company ran out of funding. And I was like, awesome. After a year and a half of fighting for this, I don't have an income. How am I going to pay my rent? I have 3 kids I have to feed that need a lot of time. Now I'm the full-time single parent living in a new city. And I'm dealing with the company closing down with none of my team around me anymore. I don't know how to do this. I don't know. The stress was so, and then like, what am I supposed to do next too? Right. Like I have to take care of the kids. I have to wind up this very big thing and find a job. And I don't know if I can go to the grocery store on Sunday. Like It was real. And I didn't make a decision is how I got to that point, is I guess basically my point. So when I got divorced, I had in my mind, and I was always kind of moving towards the decision until I finally got the push. I got into this situation because I didn't make a decision, because I was sure, because I'd done it before, I could do it again and again, and everything was going to work out. And I was so focused on saving myself that things just deteriorated to the point where I couldn't save myself. And I'm grateful for it, because it is what brought me right to God, or to Hannah's office. But it definitely, I just think that vulnerable groups, that groups of people that are looking for something else, this message can be really alienating, and you don't even know that it is. And I was listening to a lot of this kind of stuff. I was reading a lot of, new age manifest and blah, 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 blah. And I was searching for sure. And none of that helped me be my own lifesaver, because I just don't think it's possible. I think you have to make the decision, and then you have to go to God or whoever you go to. But to me, that was, trust me, I tried it all. I know I said it before, but like I was, calling up my tarot girls and all that. So I think, sorry, I've been talking for a really long time, but
no, it's good.
And really it was, I went into, Hannah's office, and I was like, well, here's all my problems. There were more, by the way, that was like high level. But the thing that we really dove into and I thought was cool is I was like trying to read the Bible, and I'm like, I'm going to see this pastor, so I should probably like get into it. I don't know.
Genesis 1.
Yeah, no, truly. I was like in Exodus.
begets.
Like, oh, you heard of Adam? So dope. But I had just been reading Moses, where he, is going to part the Red Sea. And like I think the hot take on that one is like, God always finds a way, right? Like, even if you don't see him working. Right. And so I was like really holding on to that. But I get into her office, and she was like, yeah, that's cool, but did you ever read the next line? And I was like, no. I like stopped it, whatever. Moses being like, just let God work, guys. Just let him work. And the next line is God's basically saying to Moses, hey, tell those people to take the first step. Like, you have to take your own action. That's sure. Yeah. You have to do the work, you make the decision and do that simple work, but you are by no means alone in either of those processes.
So well said.
Yeah.
So well said.
That's my take on it.
No, I think it's great. I also think too, I think it's and you're, for lack of a better word, kind of what I would consider kind of an alpha female, in the sense that like, if something needs to get done, you're just going to get it done, right? And that personality type can, for some period of time, be their own lifesaver. Yes. Like you did, right?
Yes, it's tricky.
But not all women are cut from that same fabric. And so that might be doable. Being one's own lifesaver might be doable for a subset of women. But I think the other half, or the other 3/4, or whatever the percentages are, telling them that, hey, you got to figure this out, because no one's going to come bail you out. I mean, I wouldn't even know how to take a first step if I had not had the personality type of like, okay, I just got to get this shit done. Yeah. Right.
Ish done. Yeah.
And so, I think that, like you said, can really isolate a lot of people, of just, I'm supposed to be my own lifesaver, but I'm at rock bottom. Yeah. How am I supposed to have enough gumption or enough knowledge or enough skills or whatever it is to be my own lifesaver, right? It's a very, like I said, I understand the concept, and I think there are alpha females out there who are like, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna just pull my bootstraps up and let's go, right? Muscle this into place. Eventually, I think they will, and like in your instance, you kind of hit a wall, right?
Yeah. You can only do that for so long. I really believe that.
And so I think that message probably landed really differently for a lot of different people,
I like that perspective. I was in the alpha group thinking like, we do not need to hear this. Didn't even think about the other group that's like, how would I even get started?
Right, yeah. There's no way I can be my own lifesaver, you know? And so however it resonates, whether it's with alpha females or the rest of the groups, I don't know what the other groups are, I think
it's more
that
of like that feminine energy, like,
right.
which is something I aspire to be. I'm gonna go work on it.
You're gonna alpha female your way
Yes,
into that female
exactly.
energy. Which is great. I think it's to each their own. I think that's what makes the world go around is that we all have different energies that we can give.
Yeah.
And then again, that is part of the bigger message of we aren't alone. Like if we were all alphas, I mean, imagine we would all live on individual islands
Yeah.
and just world would be such a weird place.
Yeah.
But the fact that we aren't all alphas, there's so many different layers of people and personalities. And I think that's by design from God so that we can work together,
Mhm.
right? And that we aren't truly alone.
Yeah.
And whether it's human companionship or it's a relationship with God or it's a relationship with whoever is your guide spiritually or otherwise, I think that it is unwise, unhealthy, and probably not nice to yourself to think that you have to do it alone.
Yeah.
And I think the first step anyone can do when they're struggling is to do themselves a favor of being like, I got this, but I've got it with someone by my side.
Yeah.
Right. And whoever that is. And I think just empowers. I think feeling partnership is empowering.
Yeah.
And I think partnership with God is one of the most powerful ones.
I totally agree. And however that looks, whether it's a physical partner, right?
Mhm.
Like, I think that's God showing up for you and that person. If
Yes.
they're somebody that really is like a value add
Mhm.
in the process. Or if you are alone, you should know that like you're not, right? Like that is I think just shifting that focus from me to I'm here to praise and serve and like, do
Yeah.
my thing for him,
Mhm.
not for me, is such a release. I wonder if we could talk a little bit about like when you are in that, I'm going to go from it's a hard time. You're in that place that you want to make a change.
Mhm.
Like well, maybe it doesn't even have to be a hard time. You're living somewhere you want to move to a new city.
Mhm.
You're married to someone you know you shouldn't be married to. You are in a job you don't like.
Mhm.
You're at the rock bottom, whatever. Like, I think that something I wish I'd had was somewhere to go that I was, just so proven truthful and right
Mhm.
that I could have trusted that. I could have trusted the Holy Spirit speaking to me, make the decisions faster. Um, and then trust that God's going to show up and do the big work. I just have to show up and do the daily. But I guess, I think it'd be interesting to talk through like how those situations are handled if you're not a lifesaver. How do you go about like making a change? Like what are tools
Mhm.
or whether it's God or the Bible or um, I went on a walk with my friend. Like,
Right.
what are the things that can bring you closer to not necessarily doing it on your own, but taking steps towards where you want to go?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind under that context is understanding that from the very beginning, God gave us the gift of this life on this earth, right?
Mhm.
So this is a gift that we get to spend some period of time here enjoying life. Sometimes it's enjoyable, sometimes it's not. But that is a gift that was given to us. And we are given this physical body to live in. And I think if we aren't someone who's like, I'm going to take the bull by the horns and just muscle my way into my own life preserving situation.
Mhm.
I'm going to get
Building the life I
myself through
wanna
this,
have, or
right?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think, the little things that we can do on a daily basis is understand that from the beginning, this is our bodies here on earth are this gift from God. And what can we do to honor that biggest gift?
Yeah.
Right. And that is taking care of ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, and health wise. And so that is getting some exercise. That is putting
Mhm.
food into our body to keep these temples
Yeah.
safe, right?
Dr. Pepper slushies.
Yes,
Yes.
Dr. Pepper
Yes.
slushies. It's
Knew you were thinking it. I could tell.
I think it's things like that that put us in a position, if we can take care of the physical body that God has gifted us with, it puts our spirit and our mind into a place to receive what is next from God.
Yeah.
And if we are clogged up with inflammation, from whatever, disease, illness, lifestyle choices, whatever it may be, right? We are
drinking, and I'm no judgment.
right,
I've been there drinking a bottle of wine a night and being like,
right.
what do I do?
And I think those are band-aids.
Yeah.
Those make us feel good temporarily, but I don't think they put us in a position to receive what is the next thing we should do to be our own life preserver in that sense, right? Or how to partner with God to get through something. And I think in order to prepare ourselves to partner with God without knowing what to do, I think we just take the gift that we were given from God and we position it to receive whatever is the next step.
Yeah.
And I think the only way we can do that in the most basic way is to be healthy physically so that our minds and our spirits can think clearly, can receive what is meant to be received. We can make good judgment calls and things of that nature. And we can hear our intuition or the Holy Spirit when it is speaking up. And I think sometimes if we are not in a healthy physical space, we can't hear those messages because we're very concerned with the other health stuff that's going on.
But I think when you're on a journey, you're having an experience, you're able to see those things. Like I said, for me right now, it's like community that are maybe making similar to your physical care and clearing. They're maybe clearing a path for your next step. And if you're able to, focus on those during that process, I think it makes everything more smooth.
For sure. And I think that God has some pretty heavy influence in the community that we end up with, right? I think I believe people cross paths for reasons. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Sometimes it's a lesson. Sometimes it's like a person that you're supposed to just add to your pack, right?
Yeah.
And so I do think that God has some influence in that. And so I think that community, while it is a support system, sometimes it's a group of friends, sometimes it's a love interest, sometimes it's work related. I do think that God is pretty intentional about how those paths cross one another, because it's part of what He wants for us and for our life, right? And so I think by community, when we go to community, that's one of the things that I enjoy the most is like the excitement of building new community, because you have no idea what doors it's going to open. You know, of course, there might be people that you put into your community and you get burned by them for whatever reason, right? And like I said, I think that's a lesson. But I also think that majority of the time, the community that kind of come into our lives is such an exciting thing because we don't know what opportunities they're going to present to our lives, right? Maybe it's a work thing, maybe it's a family thing. Who knows? I mean, we just have no way of knowing. And I think that's one of the coolest things that God adds to our lives is community.
And how you're able to, like, you don't know how you're going to serve them or change their life either.
Oh yeah.
And you're not going to be able to figure it out. You're not going to be like, oh, cool, I'm going to do this. I'm going to feel so good about myself. I'm going to change their life. No, just like,
I'm going to be their lifesaver.
Yeah, exactly. So I can feel good about me.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, He's got it. You know, you just
Totally.
kind of being open and grateful and going with that flow it makes the journey more pleasant for sure.
It's one thing that I think that is props to them for being able to do that in such a way that obviously using people of influence to help gather community and, like she said, of like-minded women, which is great. There's, that is a good thing, inherently a good thing. And I think that is inherently what God wants us to do, is to be in community.
Yeah.
So I think it's, that message was obviously up for everybody's individual interpretation. Yeah. Some are going to be like, oh, that's amazing. Some are going to be like, oh,
the speechwriter could call us up and be like, girls, that is not what I meant at all.
Yeah.
Like, we're sorry.
But so I see how there could be such a wide variety of reaction to that. And I thought it was cool that we got to take the time to chat about each of ours opinions and thoughts on that conversation, because similar but different.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of what I'm hoping this podcast will provide for people is some similar trains of thoughts about things, but also like the differences there, because there are differences. And I think the differences are important. And I think God intends us to be in community, but to be different and to challenge one another.
I could not agree more. And I think that's like, I mean, even think about this, if this was us just like with a selfie recording ourselves, I personally am going to go internalize this physical health thing I need to focus on. But I think it just is. It is the power of like when two or more together. Like there's something to be learned. There's on both sides, and like you said, this is just our take. There are. I understand the intention, the positive intention of it, but I think it's nice to have heard everything that you thought and myself having like had a more personal sort of reaction to the video and knowing I did it and it didn't work. And I think hearing this at that point would have been really bad for me and the kind of thing and advice I was going to. And so I just wanted to shout that out. If anybody feels like they're in that sort of situation and you just know you're missing the mark, you just feel like the world is on your shoulders only, that like amount of pressure. I've been there. And positive message, it's great to take, when you can take it. But I think there's something bigger and deeper that would be nice if the people that we sort of put on pedestals addressed, because that's what really ends up changing your life is something bigger than you.
And I think that's one of the gifts that we can bring to the table, is that when the people who we do put up on pedestals don't give you that alternative perspective, there are people like us out there who are saying, hey, maybe you don't even know what it's like to involve religion in your life. And we're going to talk to you about, hey, like, if you do want an alternative option from being your own lifesaver, here's what we've done and what's worked for us, what hasn't worked for us. And like, I think that's a nice kind of bridge that we can bring is that here's an alternative perspective on how to achieve a similar goal, but doing it through the lens of something bigger than us.
Cut. All right. Hey, that was like really fun. I know. Oh, my legs. I know.